To acquire the proper set of rules on the technical side, it takes up to 6 hours. But to acquire the proper mental resilience, it takes months and even years to acquire. Hey there, Tom here from Fibonacci-Traders.com here with the daily market recap. Please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends. Let's see the charts. We had Tesla earnings after the bell. Revenue missed. Earnings per share missed. Some other metrics to the future. Overall, Tesla went down 4% after hours towards the 169, 170, towards this yellow trend line. Now 165 to the downside needs to hold. Otherwise, high probability this gap at the 146, 145 will get filled. On the positive side, tomorrow's opening gap to the downside will get filled sometime in the future. SPY still struggling below the 416, above the red trend line, but overall all this area, SPY is bouncing between the 410, 416. We are looking for a 2 or 3 days, maybe this week, close above 416, then high probability 423 will be next, and we have this gap over here at the 421. This gap will get filled once 416 will break to the upside. QQQ still bouncing between the 313 and the 321, short below, long continuation above the 321, together with breaking above the red trend line. Overall, in the premium room, we had some good trades. As we can see, we had this bounce. We looked at the futures on the 1 hour chart. We took the bounce from here. Apple, we took long above 166.80. Apple went up. SPY went up. Futures went up. Apple continuation to the upside. Went all the way to this trend line. We drew this trend line beforehand, and Apple went all the way above towards it. Amazon also took some slight to the upside. As you can see, futures went up, Apple all the way to the trend line. This is why we always say trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. Everything is in advance, nothing in hindsight. So if you want to become your own indicator, if you want to join us, check the links in the description below. Choose your own path, become your own indicator. IWM 179 keeps holding as a strong resistance, but on the short term we have this low, higher low, higher low. Now IWM needs to break up and above this red trend line, then this gap at the 181 will get filled and maybe all the way back to 186. Follow price, use levels and trend lines to manage your risk. Dow Jones, another great example of why trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. This trend line goes all the way back to January of 2022, and each and every time, and as you can see in the past 4 days or so, 5 days, this trend line is holding strong resistance, and the 337 to the downside is holding as support. One of them will get break to the upside. Long continuation toward the 343. To the downside, we have a slight gap over here. No gap over here, but if 337 will get broken to the downside, 335 and 333 are next supports. VIX continuing to the downside. Trend line is waiting for the VIX to touch and maybe bounce off this trend line. For now, VIX is in a downtrend, which means SPY and friends can breathe. Bitcoin breaking below this trend line And if you follow me on Twitter and you saw previous videos, you know these trend lines, you know these levels. And here we are. Trend lines and Fibonacci levels are all a trader truly needs. We had some dojis, indecision of this trend line, then bears took control, went back down towards the 28,800. Look left, not long ago, this area of the 28,800 was a very tough resistance since March 19 all the way to April 10, almost 1 month of resistance. Now this area needs to hold and act as support, otherwise 27,600 and this red trend line. Follow price, truly understand in-depth candlestick analysis and the relationship with trend lines and Fibonacci levels. No other indicators are truly needed. Ethereum, very bearish candle. Now 1960 will act as resistance, 1900s, and maybe all the way back to 1852, because this 1852 area is the 618 retracement level of this uptrend. MSTR close this gap over here, close the gap over here, now going downside to 297. XLF holding above the 50% retracement area, above the 33. Let's see continuation towards the 34. 34 will act as a strong resistance because it's the 618 Fibonacci retracement. Natural gas back to the downside because it have a gap over here, and until this gap will not get filled, bulls will have hard time to really bounce towards the 263 and 281. First, this gap needs to get filled, then bulls will have the power they need to go back up and maybe all the way to 432, this gap over here. Oil hovering above the void, 79 needs to hold, otherwise yellow trend line sliding down towards filling the gap over here at the 75. For now, I would wait. If you're not long yet on oil, I would wait for this gap to get filled, or if it will not get filled, some kind of a bounce off this yellow trend line. AAPL, broken record incoming. Trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. You know this trend line, you know these trend lines because you saw previous videos and you follow me on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter yet, this is a great chance to press the follow button. Daily actionable ideas, swing trading, day trading, short or long, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin, SPY, Qs, ETFs, stocks, it's all the same. Price action and the relationship with trend lines. Once you understand it in depth, you can trade any security that you want. And here we are, AAPL, red trend line all the way, and slight reversal in the intraday. Now let's see if bulls can really push up above towards this white trend line, or are we going for some retracement with this trend line to the downside needs to hold. If it will not hold, then we can take Fibonacci 162 to the downside. If this white trend line will fail to hold, 158 will be next, breaking above this area towards this white trend line. We can assume 175 is the next resistance. Follow price, use levels, Fibonacci levels, trend lines to manage risk. Check the links in the description below. One-on-one mentorship program, or the same program but pre-recorded. 6 hours, 49 lessons. My promise to you, by the end of both programs, you will become your own indicator. Of course, you don't need both programs. You need to choose one. Choose your own path. Pave your own path. Take your financial freedom in your own hands. Netflix, post earnings. To the downside, Doji. So for me, no long and no short. I would wait for long above 336, short below the red trend line. And of course, this is only my opinion. Never follow anyone blindly on social media. Paid or free services. No one knows better than you. Amazon once again went all the way to the 104, got rejected on the intraday. Now let's see if bulls have enough power to close the week. We have 2 days to the weekly close. Let's see a close above the 104 towards this red trend line with the 109 to the upside. Microsoft keeping it strong above the 282 area with 292 to the upside is a very tough resistance. So if you are not long yet on Microsoft, I would wait for a break above the 292, breaking below the 281, this gap, and the 273 are next support. Google, another great example, perfect example of why trend lines are the true support resistance for price action. Google broke below the 104.67 all the way to this trend line, Doji. Let's see now if this Doji will validate and we can get some bounce to the upside, breaking below this trend line, and we can assume with high probability 101 together with this red trend line are next. If these will fail to hold, we have all the Fibonacci levels to the downside for future support. Fibonacci and trend lines will give us the roadmap to the future, because looking left, we can all look left and see where price came from and what it did in the past. But our problem is, and what we really want to know is, what price will do next. So we need roadmap for our financial freedom. Fibonacci levels, trend lines give exactly what we need. Roadmap to the future. Breaking below the 210, Meta will go and fill this gap and maybe all the way towards this gap over here. Long continuation above this yellow trend line and above 222. AMD, red trend line together with the 88 is holding, but for now on the short term, downtrend on AMD until proven otherwise. NVDA holding strong. We have a gap here, a slight gap to the downside at the 270.40, and as we can see, 280 to the upside is a very tough resistance. Breaking above it, NVIDIA will go towards the 298 together with this red trend line, breaking below the 266 area, and we can assume with high probability 243 will be next. Shopify, this gap to the upside is still open, 48 holding a support. Let's see continuation, closing this gap and all the way to the 51 area together with this blue trend line. Once again, all we need is a roadmap to the future, because looking left, identifying support and resistance without even Fibonacci, we can all look left and identify support and resistance area from the past. But what will happen next? This is all we want to do, to know what will happen next. No one knows for sure, but with the proper trading rules, with the proper technical strategy, we can become our own indicators and we will have the roadmap to the future of price action, which means the roadmap for our financial freedom. Check the links in the description below. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, share with friends, will be much appreciated. Don't forget to check the links in the description below for more educational resources. Until the next video, do good things.